talk about all the time with people, and I know you do too, because we're like constantly interviewing people for our brokerage, for your real estate network and everything, is just like people want to know what to do to be successful in their first year. And I don't know about you, but like there's been a lot of different ideas that I've had, and I think they've even evolved in the years that I've, run this office and other offices. What are some of the things that come to your mind when you think about like rookie success?
Yeah, it's a great question, David, and obviously there's far too many real estate agents who go through the process and pay the money to get their license, join a brokerage, and begin in real estate, and then very quickly decide this isn't for them, or they're not willing to put in the work to eventually become successful. And so what we end up with is a high attrition rate. And so the question is, how do we reduce that attrition rate? How do we give people a better idea of what to expect before they even begin the journey? And once they've gotten their foot through the door and they're in a brokerage with a license, how can we best set them up for success?
Yeah.
And I think the very first point that we should probably discuss today is whether or not they're getting into real estate because they're interested in success through real estate, because they heard about a friend doing it, they saw a TV episode, or they just know that real estate's really cool.
That's exactly what it is most of the time, isn't it? Like, right. I shouldn't say most of the time, but I think we see that a lot, right? Like HGTV, flip this house, like, oh, Tarek, whatever, is like doing this thing, and like it's really cool. And it's just like, it's not an accurate like we're not selling Sunset.
Right. And that piques a lot of interest for a lot of people. The question is, are you interested in success through real estate, or have you already committed that you will become successful through real estate, however long that takes? And that's a very different mental approach that you're taking to the business.
Yeah, and when we think about mindset, I mean, since it does all start there, if you're starting your career off day one with the wrong mindset, I mean, that's going to show up every single day. It's going to follow you around, and it's probably going to contribute to your failure. Like, you've got to get in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, 100%. And here's what ends up happening. For those people that are interested, that have not yet committed, what they do is they dip their toe in the water. They start to lead generate. They might do some marketing, but when they don't get those immediate results, they get discouraged. And what can happen oftentimes is because they don't get that result, they just stop doing it. Of course, then never leading to any result at all.
It's just a vicious cycle.
It's just a vicious cycle. Yeah. And they don't have the longevity. They're not willing to put in enough time on task to eventually start reaping the rewards of their efforts. As we know, real estate's not something where you typically come in and start earning commissions right away. And if you do, they're typically not consistent right away either.
Yeah.
You've got this kind of roller coaster effect.
Definitely. It doesn't become predictable for quite some time. And I don't think a lot of agents realize that. And if you're just getting in real estate, you've got to go in with the frame of mind that I'm going to be committed. Now, you talk about dipping the toe in the water, though, and I want to make sure I understand exactly what you mean, and we might have different views on this, but, there's a difference between you and I are different, right? And our listeners probably have picked up on that over the months and episodes. But like, I don't know. I feel like you're a little bit more of a risk taker than I am, and so like when you talk about being committed, I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, like you're kind of thinking like jump all in, jump full time. Whereas me, like I can see myself like planning out this like elaborate scheme of where once I hit a certain like number in my pipeline, then I'm gonna make the leap. I mean, what does committed mean to you? I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, good question. So I had the opportunity this morning to talk to an agent that I had coached previously back in Maine, and it was so cool to catch up with her and kind of get an update on her business. And frankly, she was somewhat of a slow starter. She was very cautious. She was very reserved when she got into real estate, and she was working another job. Her time was split. I'm a realistic person. And so, yes, as willing and able as I am to take risks, I understand that people have priorities. And anybody that wants to commit to becoming successful in real estate needs to create a plan. And once you get in real estate, business plans matter. You don't just try hard and hope for the best. You've got to come up with a transition plan. How much income do I need to replace in real estate to not have to work my other job? How consistently do I need closings to be able to quit this job and go all in? So I understand that there's a plan and a transition that needs to take place.
And so for her, was it like, I mean, what did that plan look like? Because I would agree with you. And it's funny, sometimes, I mean, I talk to really, really successful agents and they've never even made a business plan whatsoever. And so even this idea of a plan, I think probably scares a lot of people. What did she share anything that was like helpful to her in this idea of like committing to full time?
Yeah. So while while a person is working their primary job, you're finding any time of day in your calendar where you have some free space to do your real estate training. We know that getting your license does not qualify you or really prepare you to work with clients. So you need to start plugging into your brokerage training, whatever that may be, and then taking those topics that you're learning about and diving deeper into them. There's never enough time to talk about everything, but there's enough time in a class to get the basic concept of an idea and then go research it and then go study it and then go seek additional information and truly commit yourself to understanding these principles. Yeah. That's during your nights and weekends. It might get a little uncomfortable. You might have to make some sacrifices. Another thing she did was she had some people that were on her side. She had a significant other and some family members and friends that understood why she wanted to be successful and understood that what that could do for their family and were there to support and encourage her. Yeah. And that goes a long way with people.
I definitely, and maybe a point on both of those is when I look at people that are kind of in the same boat, right? The whole like nights and weekends. We've said it before. Like you go into an entrepreneurial adventure so that you can spend 80 hours working what you refuse to work 40 hours for.
Sure.
Right? And that's truly the first year in real estate for most people. You know, especially if you're leaving a corporate job or something like that, where you have a cushy 401k, vacation, PTO, a salary, all of these things. Chances are there's a good chance you're going to walk away from that and you're going to make less in your first year. And you're going to work double. And that's okay if you're committed to the process. Right. If you're only interested in this because you see the $25,000 commission checks, you're probably going to give up and you're probably going to walk back into that corporate environment.
Yeah, totally. Two more things I want to touch on from my conversation with this agent. She had started to build her sales pipeline even while working this other job. In fact, using this other job as a lead generation lever to start meeting people, and ultimately started building a sales pipeline such that she had several active clients looking to buy homes and a couple of things in the pipeline that she knew were coming up real soon. Mm. After that, the last thing she did, again, was made a very specific plan around the economics. How much money do I actually need to earn? How much money do I have sitting in my sales pipeline right now? And how much money do I need to replace from my other job to be able to afford to jump full-time in real estate? And once she made that transition, her world changed. And the business just skyrocketed. And the key is, David, it didn't happen for like 7 months after getting her license. There was a transition period. Yeah. And now she's rocking and rolling.
Who was it that we had on the show that said they like made nothing in their first 6 months of real estate, and then was it Aaron?
And then it was like,
and then he made $1 million in commissions
in like the last 5 months of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go back to the Aaron Hodson episode and like hear that, like coming from someone who's sold 720 houses a year. They're pretty incredible. Well, while you're sharing that about this one agent, I'm thinking of another rookie that's in my brokerage who has used her current job as a lead generation lever. She's a bartender, and I was just with her the other day, and she was talking about how she got these little coasters made and got the bar's approval to use her coaster, which had her QR code and her picture, so that for every client at the bar, she didn't have to go regurgitate the same information over and over. They could just shoot it. And the beauty of it right now, this is magic, and I don't even know if she realized this. How do you access every menu during COVID right now at restaurants? Through a QR code.
Yep.
So I can guarantee she has clients at the bar shooting her QR code and going to her real estate website and being like, what the frick? Like, why am I what in the world?
I just wanted a cheeseburger.
I wanted a cheeseburger, exactly. I'm like, that's total magic. But what she's doing, and the point is she's leveraging her current reality for the purpose of business.
I love it.
In the future.
What a great way to embrace technology.
And it's going to work, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was a brilliant idea. Go steal that if you're outside our market area. I didn't want to give away our secret.
So let me transition the conversation a little bit, David, and I want to ask you a question. What do you say to the leaders out there, whether they're rainmakers building their own sales team or brokerage leadership, who are having these newly licensed real estate agents come in? What is our responsibility as leaders? What items do we need to have? What value do we need to deliver to provide the pathway to success for the people within our world?
Yeah. I think that you should be at a brokerage who has a conversation with you like interested versus committed, right? I don't run our career nights anymore with the agents that are coming into just getting licensed, right? I have a team member who does that, who focuses on that, our coach internally. And yet I encourage her, you've got to give them a realistic picture, because it's going to tell you right from the get-go who is committed, right? Ask tough questions. Give a realistic picture. Now, I will also say people buy into what you tell them. So you have to be careful, in my opinion, how you phrase this. Let me give you an example. If you're just getting licensed, Joe, and you come in, you know nothing about this business and how to be successful, and I say to you, Joe, expect not to make money in the first 6 to 7 months. It usually takes that long to build up. I've automatically activated in your brain, I don't get paid for 6 to 7 months.
Right.
Versus the opportunity that I have to say, some agents come into this business and have a closing as soon as 30 days. What did I just do there? I flipped the script in your head from what you can't do to what you can do. It doesn't mean you will do it, and I'm going to continue to give you the full picture of what it takes to be successful in this business, but I've also not drug you down this path where you're coming in day one with limiting beliefs. So I think you need to be at a brokerage and around people who are careful with how they set you up for success. Does that make sense?
100%. You always say that words matter, and that's a great example of exactly that. We have to be very particular about the words and the expectations that we're setting, because new agents, as intelligent as they are, they don't know any better in the real estate world. We are setting the pace for their business before it has even begun.
Definitely. And another phrase that comes up a lot, and I know we both use it, is this business is simple, it's not easy. Right? There are a few things they have to be really good at. And I think a brokerage and leadership that is serving their people well, whether you're running a team or a brokerage, whatever, you are setting yourself up to hold those people accountable to the simple things. The lead generation, the lead follow-up, the scripting and role play, the going on appointments, the learning how to negotiate, right? Those are the simple activities that lead to success. And anyone worth their weight in your life is going to be hard on you about those things, because that's the difference. When the rubber meets the road, that's the difference between interested and committed. I don't care what you like doing or don't like doing. What I care about is that if you tell me you need to make 50,000 or 100,000, or that you desire and intend to make 500,000, I don't care what the number is. What I care about is that you're going to take the steps that we know lead to success, because those things haven't changed. The methods have changed. The actual activities have not changed. And I think that's what leadership has to do for their new agents, their rookie agents. Set the stage well and hold them accountable. What would you add to that?
I think that's great. I actually want to ask you a follow-up question, because as you're talking about that, I'm thinking in my head two different lanes here: Rainmaker building a sales team, brokerage building out a larger sales team. In whatever position you're in, what would you say, David, to somebody who says, I want to continue to grow by expanding new agents in my business, and I understand that they need this guidance and this training? What specific items of value can teams and brokerages give to their agents to set them up best for success?
Well, I mean, it's always tools. I mean, tool systems, resources. We think in those different buckets. And so I think a problem that a lot of rookie agents have, especially if they're younger, just in general, is they just don't know who to talk to. And so, access to just specific data, whether it's coming from a title company, it's coming from a coaching program, whatever it is in your world, you should have access to some type of data, in my opinion, that allows you to get into conversation and get into the rhythms. So there's one thing. If you're joining, I talk about 5 pillars of value when you're building a team as well. And so from a Rainmaker's perspective, there's several things that you should be providing new agents, right? New agents benefit just from your brand and personality, right? That's a first pillar. Like, I have agents in my office who are top in the state, and just being around them and being able to use their emblem, that brings credibility. Just being able to use the KW Arizona real estate logo, that brings credibility and value, but it can only go so far. So second pillar of value is mentorship and coaching. right? Whether we're a brokerage that's providing the training or you're a rainmaker building a team, you need to have some type of system that trains systematically, specifically around the contract, right? And this is something we talked about in a previous episode too. Why don't people take action? They don't take action because of fear a lot of times. Well, why do they have fear? They haven't applied themselves to learn and get the knowledge that they need. And so a brokerage needs to be training on the contract because that's our toolbox, right? And right now even, I mean, just to be transparent, like we're in the process right now of completely revamping and rebuilding how we think about training the contracts, right, in our brokerage. So that's the second one. The third one, and stop me if I'm like...
Please continue. This is exactly the answer I wanted.
Perfect. I got it right. So the third one, and here's the thing. Those first two will get you, will help you, if you're a rainmaker, retain talent up to a point. But once I have gleaned off your reputation, have built my own reputation, and once I feel as though I've received the mentorship and training, in effect, I've outgrown you from that standpoint, whether it's right or wrong or true or indifferent, that doesn't matter. If I feel that way, then I'm looking for additional pieces of value, okay? And that might happen end of year 1, end of year 2. It depends, right? And so I always talk to agent or rainmakers that I'm consulting and say, okay, you have to have additional pillars of value. So what are 3, 4, and 5? These ones are more scalable, okay? Number 3 is admin and operation support, right? We know in our model that support is where it starts in your organizational structure. Sales follows support. Think about that. Sales follows support, okay? So your first hire is an executive assistant. It's a transaction coordinator. It's a director of operations. Then your next hire is another administrative hire. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of rainmakers don't realize that. But it's because of this third pillar of value. You have to solidify what you're giving your agents as a value proposition from administrative and operation support. Go back to the Lauren Rosen episode. She talked about this really eloquently. She's invested tons of money into her operations team. And I believe she's doing it right. So admin and operations, you make those 2 hires, then you can confidently start approaching salespeople with a real value proposition that has 3 pillars. Number 4 and 5, I will just rattle through these. Leads and appointments, okay? Leads are scalable. Appointments can be scalable. Different methods, we've talked about these on different shows. Here's what I see most rainmakers do. They lead their value proposition with leads.
Right.
Don't do that. Big no-no. That's going to tank you.
It's the fastest way to attract the wrong person.
Exactly. I'm
coming to your team with the expectation that you're just going to hand me a whole bunch of business, and if I don't get it, and if I don't start closing deals, it's your fault, not mine.
100%. I love how you put that. And then just from a market standpoint, like we can't really control the volume of leads. We can to some extent, but there comes a point where that you can't deliver on that value. So I can't confidently say, Joe, I'm going to hand you 100 leads a month. Come to my team. I don't know that. Maybe I can today, but I mean, let's get really authentic here. Where are a lot of those leads coming from? In the world that I've seen, a lot of those leads are coming from third-party sources like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, all of these different places, Homes.com, these places that you actually have no control over.
Right.
They have complete control, okay? That's a tangent. That's a rabbit hole. But then appointments. You want to deliver the ultimate amount of value to a talented person who's committed? Make them earn the right to get operations support, then leads, and then finally, I'll call it the pinnacle of value, appointments. If you come to me and you say, David, I have 300 listing appointments set for you every single year. What does it take to get you in my world? Boom. Love it.
And I love how you said, make them earn the right to.
Exactly. If you're a rookie agent listening to this and you're saying, oh, awesome, yeah, that's the job I want, you're not going to get it. If you do get it, you're going to be screwed and you're actually not going to unlock your full potential. You won't. You need to earn your way into that through failure, through doing the grunt work, to doing all of those things that it takes to get there. And then you'll find the right opportunity with the right people if that's the path that you want to go down. So I mean, I don't even know where the original question started, I guess. But those are the 5 pillars of value that I think show up for the rainmaker looking to attract committed rookie agents, to a brokerage trying to attract rookie agents. And if you're a rookie agent and you're saying, I don't know if I want to be an individual agent at a brokerage, or I want to jump onto a team. I don't know which path to take. David and Joe, help me. If you're in that position, you need to write those things down, and you need to remember those too. What's the system that team has or that brokerage has to continue to give you value as you change and evolve? Those are my thoughts on it.
That's a conversation I have with a lot of people, both active real estate agents and recruits that are thinking about real estate. When they're considering joining a team, you've got to ask yourself some very specific questions. It's not just a matter of what is the commission split. It is what is the commission split compared to what is the value, and what different in what different areas are you going to provide me value?
Yeah, and in fact,
specifically.
In fact, the commission split's the least important thing.
Right.
I mean,
it kind of
is. Cliche, but who's on the worst commission split in our company? Gary Keller.
Right.
And he's probably one of the only billionaires in our company.
Sure.
And I know I say that a little tongue-in-cheek, right?
Sure.
Different apples and oranges. But really, if your go-to is, what's the commission split?
Red flag already.
Starting at the wrong place.
Right. Right. Because in theory, if I provide enough value through all of these other avenues, I can close double, triple, 4 times as many transactions with the support of the team, with the support of a transaction coordinator and a marketing specialist than I'd be able to do on my own. So if I can earn 4 times as many sales and give you half of my money, I'm still making 200% more.
Definitely. So okay. So we've seen a lot of unsuccessful, agents in their first year, and I guess this episode's kind of like taking on this flavor about rookie agents. So, guys, this is for you. What are the successful agents? Because we've also been around a lot of successful agents. I mean, our brokerage had the Rookie of the Year in the state of Arizona last year. He made tons of money. We had at our previous brokerage out in Maine, he ended up being a top 5 rookie in all of Keller Williams, grossing over $350K in his real estate business. I mean, we've been around a lot of successful rookies too. And those are just, 2 examples. What do you see showing up in their life in business that beyond just the interested versus committed, because they are committed clearly,
right?
What else are you seeing?
Very first thing that comes to mind: surrounding yourself with the right people. And back to your point, asking the brokerages, asking the teams the right questions to vet through and identify the right fit for you. There's not necessarily a wrong answer or a right answer. Rather, does this fit make sense for me and for my personality and for where I'm going? I want to be around people who can support me, who can encourage me, who can provide me the tools, systems, resources, leverages that I need to be successful, and who are going to be there to lean on when I find myself struggling that first year, because it's inevitably going to happen, right? So number 1, surrounding yourself with the right people. Number 2, sacrifice. You've got to be willing to make some sacrifices. And that goes back into the interested versus committed conversation. And are you willing to get uncomfortable? Are you willing to do what is necessary those first 12 months? And here's what Kristen Cole says all the time. There's no wrong way to lead generate. Any of them will work. You just have to do it consistently. And we've talked about an activities-based result. If you do anything enough times, eventually you will get the result. So right now, if you're not getting the result you want, you're not doing enough things. What type of lead generation activities you choose to focus on is entirely up to you. Pick one. What I always talk to agents about is you want about 3 to 5 lead generation levers that you're highly focused on. You don't want to be trying to work on 20 different lead generation levers, and you also don't want one. 3 to 5 is a good number, especially when you're getting started, to focus on. For example, I'm going to focus on my sphere of influence, which are people I already know, open houses, and social media. And I'm going to pour into those 3 activities every single day and every single week for the next 3 to 6 months until each of them start producing the result that I want. While I'm going through those activities, I'm testing and measuring. I'm analyzing the data that I'm tracking. How many open houses do I have to host in order to get a certain amount of people to come through them? Based on the people, the leads that come through that open house, how many of those do I need to convert one to a potential client? And so my head goes to the economics of real estate. And if you want to be successful, you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either work really hard, grind it out, and just hope for the best, or you can sit down and say, this is specifically how much money I intend to make or transactions I intend to close, and then break that down into what specific activities am I going to execute on each week and month in order to hit that goal. And when I say specific activities, I mean you've got to be specific. You can't just say, I'm going to call my SOI.
Yeah, right.
You talk to one person, then technically you've accomplished your goal. You need to give yourself a baseline. I'm going to talk to 10 different people every day and have a two-way conversation with that person. And I'm going to do that every day, every week, and every month until.
Yeah. How much do you think personality plays a role in like how you said you could go about it one or two ways. Like how does someone determine which way is best for them?
Yeah, I mean, look at your strengths. We learned growing up in school, identify your weaknesses, then try to improve those. I say no. Identify your strengths and double down. If you love being in front of people face-to-face, find as many ways as possible to be in front of people face-to-face. If you love making phone calls and cold calling people because you have experience being a telemarketer, then sit in front of your phone all day and make phone calls. You've got to find what works for you. Again, there's no wrong method. Figure out what your strengths are, figure out what you enjoy doing, and then double down on those activities until they start producing the result.
I would agree with that. And I think something that came to mind when you were finishing there was that sometimes with the tracking and everything else that we encourage and teach and you need to become good at or hire someone who's good at or have a coach who's good at, I think for some people, it sometimes, and you might kill me, sometimes it gets in the way. Sometimes some personalities just need to hear, like, go out and just freaking figure out a way to how to make money. Like just I don't care. Like throw the playbook away. What you've done is not working. Just go do something. I mean, I know that sounds dumb. I know it sounds dumb because we're a company of systems and models and tools, and that's awesome. But to Kristen's point, with the quote that you brought up, all the ways work. But sometimes I think we build plans and we talk about the vision and we put all the things into the systems, and then we get to the end of the day and we're like, oh shoot, there's no time. Well, tomorrow. And then we wake up tomorrow and we're like, oh, I could build this smart plan. I can get this drip together and all of these things. Sometimes you just got to go out and freaking meet people, right? Like I'm a big believer and always have been and always will be, your net worth is connected to your network, and you will not grow your network effectively unless you're connecting with people. You've got to connect with people. And so you want to be successful as a rookie agent. Here would be my one thing. All right. Like let's kind of close this conversation up and we'll put ourselves on the hot seat. 3, 2, 1, action. All right. We're going to do them backwards, all right? We're going to do the one thing that we would say, and then we're going to say someone they should listen to and someone they should read. Okay. All right? On the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
The one action that I would say right now, I want you to connect with 5 new people every single day. I don't care how you do it. Connect with 5 people. I think you do that, and you're going to be successful in real estate in your rookie year. What do you think?
My action item is going to be probably on the opposite end of the spectrum of yours.
Perfect. I love it.
My action item is thinking about 2021. What is your desired goal, and what are the numbers around that goal? What do you need to calculate what you need to do, what activities you need to accomplish to hit your goal, and whether or not those numbers stay true for the entire year is kind of irrelevant, David. The reason why I like going through these economics with new agents is it gives them some sort of frame of reference. Based on the number of closings I want, I know I need to go on a certain amount of appointments with buyers and sellers. Based on that, I know I need to talk to enough people in my given day. Let's say that number's 5, for example, in your case. Now I know throughout my day, my bare minimum objective is 5 people. If it's a good day and I talk to 10 or 15, fantastic. But I'm never going to do less than 5. And so I like going through the economics because for me, it gives clarity around why am I doing these activities? And I'm doing these activities because it's a activities-based result, and enough of any activity will lead eventually to that result.
Yeah. Well, and I'm more of the way I'm wired is to take your approach, actually, and this is what I thought of with that action item, though. My grandfather, workout junkie. You do not go to a family dinner or to a holiday without him dropping down at some point in the day and like ripping out a bunch of push-ups. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, he's like 75 and he's just like,
That's impressive.
Like 50 push-ups, right? I will never forget every time after he beat me every single time, because He still beats me. Like, up until probably last year, he still beat me. And after every time, he would always say this because he was very forgetful. All right? He's always been very forgetful. And he thought he was telling me something brand new. He wasn't telling me something new. He said, you need to take 30 days, and I want you to start with 10, and I want you to add 1 every single day. And, like, when I think about the compound effect of adding 1 push-up every single day to the total and then running, or the compound effect of saving 1 penny a day and how that compounds over the years with compound interest, I think about the same compound effect with connecting with 5. I believe if you go connect with 5 people right now after this podcast, tomorrow you're going to be more confident to connect with 10 people, and then 11, and then 12, and then 13, and you're going to see the result at some point. And so we're saying the same thing. And so what I want you hearing as a listener is not like Joe and I in disagreement, because we're not. What I want you to hear is you need to do activities.
You need to do activities.
I mean, let's go sell this for $599. But like that, like this, that's what it's about. Okay, so that was that. All right, and that wasn't really a hot seat. That we acted like some of our guests there.
That just go on long tangents. Yeah, so much for rapid fire.
All right, if you were to, I mean, I don't know what you're reading right now.
I'll tell you exactly what I'm reading, and I'm going to give, like our guests, 2 answers. Because I think there are 2 really good books that are totally unrelated. Neither of them have anything to do with real estate. Number 1 is The Untethered Soul.
Oh, yeah.
And I've heard about this book since I've joined Keller Williams, and it never piques my interest. And so I bought the book about a month ago, and I've never been more attached to going home and reading a book. It's super short, it's super easy, but it's definitely a thinker. It goes into consciousness and thoughts, and I don't want to give too much away, but I would say that if you're struggling with fear, stress, anxiety, depression, frustration, anything like that, this kind of book really just gives a whole, even if you're not struggling with any of those, I mean, I don't think I fall into any of those categories personally. This isn't, I'm not like...
You did look depressed today.
I'm not making a statement.
Do you need a hug?
But seriously, like the way that this book has taught me to rethink my own thoughts has been really empowering and enlightening.
That's
so
awesome.
The Untethered Soul for sure. The other book, Atomic Habits. And the takeaway from that book is when you're a real estate agent, this is not from the book, but when you're a real estate agent, we're basically teaching you a new lifestyle. If you've not been an entrepreneur before, not only are you learning new habits with having to manage yourself and what does my day look like, but you're also having to build habits around like studying real estate and doing these different activities that you've never had to do before. I've never had to call 5 random people a day. So I'm talking about Atomic Habits because this book will outline a few specific steps you can take to be very intentional around creating the right habits that you want in your personal life and in your business, while simultaneously identifying the non-productive habits that you may not even be aware of. And so really becoming more efficient with your time and with your overall production, both personally and professionally.
Love it. I think the one that comes to mind for me that is big in the world of most top agents right now that I'm around is 12-week year. And 12-week year basically it would be a good follow-up, I think, to Atomic Habits. If you were to put an order to these, I would start with The Untethered Soul, then go to Atomic Habits, work on the mind, work on the self, then work on the habits, and then pick up 12-week year. And 12-week year is going to talk to you about why high achievers basically can take your year and everything you accomplish, and they can accomplish it in 12 weeks. And it's a really good read, really, really practical. All right. Anyone you're listening to that you'd point someone to other than us?
Can I say David Morse?
Oh, stop. What?
Can I go there?
Go somewhere else. Our listeners don't want to hear that.
Well, if you're not on David's Instagram, definitely where can they follow you, David? Just so we make sure that we all have your personal Instagram. And I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of serious.
All right. David D. Morse. There's an extra D in there. David D. Morse.
Okay. To answer the question, I think that you need to go find the person in your brokerage who is just ahead of where you're at.
I love it.
And you need to become their best friend. You need to shadow them. You need to ask them for mentorship. You need to be willing to do them favors, whatever that might be. You need to be willing to go outside your comfort zone, introduce yourself, build that relationship, and find somebody that you can track closely behind. You don't want to find somebody that's 30 years in front of you, because by now they've built a business that seems unattainable. Find somebody who's a year in front of you, or $10 million in front of you in sales volume, or whatever the number, like whatever makes sense for you. Find that person in your brokerage. I can guarantee there's several people in your brokerage that fit that criteria. Find out who they are and get into a relationship with them.
I love that answer so much that I'm not even going to give one. It's a concept we've talked about before. I call it goal drafting or business drafting, where in running you get on the shoulder of this person that's just faster than you, and then you overtake them, right? And that's the same concept that you just got into. I think that only serves someone well. And so I think we just wrap the show up with that.
Yeah, and let me just give a final thought, because I don't want to agree with you wrapping up the show yet. Final thought. Seriously, okay. Once you find that person, the next step, in my opinion, to grow yourself in your development is find somebody who you can now mentor. Even if you're only 6 months into real estate or a year. Who is somebody that's even newer than you, that's even more lost and confused than you are, who you can give just a tiny bit of direction to, who will appreciate the heck out of you forever for it? Who can you start pouring into in your market center, even if you're the brand new one?
I just got shivers. That's so good. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the All In Podcast. As always, share us with a friend, right? Maybe you're 6 months into this, and this podcast, our show has brought you value. Share it with a friend who's just getting into the business and could use this episode. Share it, subscribe, leave a rating and review, and as always, go play All In.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the All In Podcast. We want to invite you to find all of today's resources from our show page at aipodcast.co. We also ask that you take just 1 minute to leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. This is how we grow and how we're able to bring you the best content each and every week. Now go play All In.